Drug crimes are not the most serious crimes, and the death penalty is not fully justified. There are both formal and substantive reasons to abolish the death penalty for drug trafficking. We should begin with eliminating the death penalty for drug trafficking, and then gradually abolish it for all drug-related crimes. Hold your fire. These aren't my words. These are the core arguments from a paper published in 2016 by Professor Mo, a PhD supervisor at Wuhan University's law school and former director of its Criminal Law Research Center. This paper has been making the rounds online, with many fans urging me to review it. So, to do justice to the hype, I downloaded the full text. And wow, has academia really rotted this far? To be fair, we've all seen shocking rhetoric before, especially if you consider the public climate a decade ago. But still, some of these arguments truly mind-bending. Let me break it down. Right from the start, the author questions China's criminal policy on drug crimes, claiming elevating the harm of drug crimes to the level of national survival is unique in the world. Excuse me, law professors don't study history anymore. What were the two opium wars about, if not national survival? That was barely over a century ago. And now, you're calling China's stance unique, and it gets worse. To play down the danger of drugs, the paper actually says most drug users don't cause significant harm and rarely die from it. From a trafficker's perspective, killing customers is bad business. Seriously? This is supposed to be an academic paper. Is it that hard to look up drug-related death figures? Instead, Professor Mo just declares rarely fatal in practice. Based on what? Conveniently, I checked the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crimes 2025 World Drug Report. In 2023, 316 million people worldwide used drugs and 500,000 died. That's a mortality rate of 0.16%. Tell me again how that's rarely fatal? And there's her take on sentencing standards. She complains, when sentencing by grams of heroin, exceeding 50 grams can result in the death penalty. But that amount isn't perceptible. Heroin is rare and costly. To a transporter, 10 grams, 50 grams, or 500 grams make little difference, but the sentences differ greatly. Professor Mo, maybe before lamenting how rare and costly heroin is, try checking its lethal dose. According to sources I found, the lethal dose is 0.75 1.2 grams. Other data puts it at just 0.12 0.15 grams, which means 50 grams equals dozens, even hundreds of lives. But since people can perceive the danger, you think sentencing should be lighter? Of course, no legal paper would be complete without foreign comparisons. But here she runs into trouble. In 1985, 22 countries had the death penalty for drug crimes. By 1995, that rose to 26. By the end of 2000, at least 34 countries had it in law. That's a clear global trend. Yet, with one stroke of the pen, Professor Mo calls it a major setback in the human rights movement. Ah yes, classic move. When the data supports me, I cite it. When it doesn't, I declare it a regression of humanity. Impressive, truly impressive. And at the end, the mask drops. She writes, abolishing the death penalty for drug trafficking is the first step toward abolishing the death penalty for all drug crimes. So the mask slips. She's now openly declaring her intention to call for the abolition of the death penalty for all drug-related crimes. Seems Professor Mo has taken it upon herself to fight tooth and nail for drug traffickers. Reading through this, I was baffled. As an engineering student, when we wrote papers, we had to juggle multiple methods. We need regression analysis based on some stats. AHP and Delphi are also frequently used. At the very least, some case studies or expert interviews to back up the research. But most paper, nothing but personal opinions, endless word games, and lofty definitions. Not a single concrete case analysis. No expert interviews. No public survey. Just what I say is right. Maybe this is how legal academia works. I did not study law. I wouldn't know. And finally, for those curious, here are two more of Mo's masterpieces. One published in 2014, titled Proposals for Advancing Death Penalty Reform, Abolishing the Death Penalty for Female Offenders. Another in 2010, Lessons for China from South Korea's Organ Transplant Law, Drugs, Women, Organ Transplants. Professor Mo's research sure has an international vision.